They thought she was just the cleaner, silent, poor, and forgettable. But behind those tired eyes and old shoes was a secret that would shake the heart of a millionaire. Every night, she begged for leftover food. No one knew where she went after work. When her boss followed her one night, what he discovered would forever change the way he saw the world, and himself. This is a powerful story of pain, sacrifice, and silent strength. Sit back and prepare to be moved. In the heart of Dallas, there stood a tall, beautiful restaurant called the Crystal Fork. The building shined like glass. Every day, big cars came and parked in front. Inside, rich men and women sat on soft chairs and ate expensive food. The man who owned the place was called Mr. Jackson. People called him Sir J. He was rich. Very rich. Mr. Jackson always wore clean suits. His shoes shined like mirrors. When he walked into the restaurant every morning, the staff stood up to greet him. "Good morning, sir," the staff would say. He would smile, nod his head and say, "Carry on." He didn't talk too much. He liked watching everything quietly. Mr. Jackson drove a black SUV that looked brand new. He had many workers, over 50. Some worked in the kitchen. Some served food. Others cleaned the floors. But behind all the luxury, something strange was about to happen. It was a quiet night in Dallas. The lights inside the Crystal Fork restaurant were dim. All the customers had gone. Most of the staff had closed for the day. Mr. Jackson came out of his office. He looked tired. He loosened his tie and sighed as he walked down the steps. It had been a long day. He pressed his car key. The black SUV made a sound. But then, he saw something strange. A woman was standing close to his car. Not too close, but not far either. She wore the brown and gold uniform of the restaurant. Her hands were folded. Her eyes were low. Mr. Jackson stopped walking. He narrowed his eyes. "Who's that?" he asked, looking around. There were only a few cleaners left outside. The woman stood still, like she was waiting for something. Mr. Jackson took a few steps forward. The air felt heavy. Something didn't feel normal. He walked up to her slowly. She looked up, then quickly looked down again. "You work at the cleaning department, right?" he asked. "Yes, sir," she said softly. "My name is Grace." She didn't raise her head. She held her hands together like she was scared. Mr. Jackson looked confused. "So, why are you standing near my car?" he asked. Grace bit her lip. Then she took a small breath. "Please, sir," she said. "I want to ask for a favor." Mr. Jackson waited. He was thinking she might ask for money, or maybe she wanted to complain. Grace looked up for a second, then looked down again. "Can I take some leftover food home?" she asked. Mr. Jackson blinked. He didn't speak for a moment. "Just leftover food?" He stared at her. "Is that all you want?" Grace nodded. "Yes, sir, just the leftover food. If there's any." There was silence. The kind of silence that makes your chest feel tight. Mr. Jackson looked at her again. She looked tired. Her shoes were old. Her voice was low. He gave a small nod. "Okay," he said. Grace whispered, "Thank you, sir," and turned around quickly, walking back into the kitchen. Mr. Jackson stood there beside his car. He didn't enter the car. He just stood still, watching the kitchen door. Something inside his heart had started to move, and he didn't know why. He got into his car. He watched her go back into the kitchen. The car engine was off. The car park was quiet. He leaned back in his seat and closed his eyes for a moment. But his mind wasn't resting. That question kept coming back. Why would a worker ask for just leftover food? Not money. Not help. Not a raise. Just food. He opened his eyes and stared at the restaurant door. Something didn't feel right. He thought about Grace's voice. It was soft. Not weak, but tired. And when she looked at him, there was something in her eyes, like someone holding back pain. Mr. Jackson checked his time. It was almost 10 p.m. Still, he didn't drive off. He wanted to see where she would go. He wanted to understand why she would ask for leftovers, like it was a gift. His heart started to beat a little faster. "I'll wait," he said to himself quietly. Roughly 10 minutes had passed. Then, the restaurant door opened. It was Grace. She stepped out slowly. In her hands were 2 small nylon bags. It did not look heavy. She held it close and started walking. Mr. Jackson lowered himself in his seat and waited till she was a bit far. Then, he turned the key slowly. The engine came alive, but he kept his lights off for a few seconds. He drove slowly. He kept a safe distance. Far enough that she wouldn't hear the sound of his car. But close enough not to lose her. Grace kept walking. Her steps were fast. After some minutes, Grace turned and entered a small yellow bus. Mr. Jackson's eyes followed the bus as it drove away. Without thinking twice, he joined the road and followed it. The bus was full. The roads were rough. But he stayed close, watching from behind. The sky had gone dark. Streetlights were few in that area, and some were not even working. Still, he followed. Almost 30 minutes later, the bus finally stopped. Grace came down slowly, still holding her nylon bags. She didn't look around. She just turned and walked into a small, untarred road. Mr. Jackson stopped his car far behind and turned off his engine. He stepped out quietly and looked ahead. There was nothing beautiful there. No shops. No fine houses. No cars. The place was quiet and dark. He slowly walked a little closer. Grace walked up to an old, broken building. The walls were cracked. The roof was old. The windows were broken. Mr. Jackson stood still. He looked at the place again. "This is her house," he whispered. It was hard to believe. This was not a home. It looked like a place people ran away from. He took a deep breath and stepped back, heart heavy with thoughts he could not explain. Mr. Jackson stood hidden in the dark. He was still looking at the old building when something happened. The old door opened with a loud creak. 2 small girls ran out barefoot, laughing as they jumped into Grace's arms. "Mummy," the first one shouted. "Mummy, you came back," the second one said. Grace dropped the nylon bag and hugged them both tightly. Her smile was wide, but her eyes looked tired. She bent down and kissed their foreheads. "I'm here, my darlings," she said softly. "I brought something for you." From where he stood, Mr. Jackson could see everything. His heart beat fast. She has children. He touched his chest lightly. Grace took the girls gently by the hand and led them back into the broken house. Mr. Jackson watched through the broken window from where he was standing. Grace sat the girls down on the mat. She opened the nylon bag and brought out the leftover food. One piece of chicken and jollof rice. She cut everything in two and placed them on two small plates. The girls grabbed their plates quickly. They started eating fast, their mouths full, their eyes bright. But Grace did not eat. She just sat there on the bare floor, looking at them, smiling. Mr. Jackson blinked. His chest felt heavy. He looked at the food, then at Grace. She brought food, but she didn't eat. He shook his head slowly. Something inside him began to change. He turned away from the window and stood still in the dark. Tears came to his eyes. He turned again and stared at the window. He saw Grace smiling at the girls as they ate. She was still not eating. Mr. Jackson held his chest. He felt a sharp pain in his heart. He looked up at the sky and whispered. She only took food for her children and didn't eat anything. He wiped his eyes. His hands were shaking. The same girl he thought was just a worker was now the reason his heart felt heavy. He looked at the broken house again. Then he looked down at his shiny shoes. He didn't feel rich anymore. He just felt sad. Slowly, Mr. Jackson walked back to his car. The street was quiet. Only the sound of crickets. He opened the door and sat down inside. He didn't start the engine. He just sat there, thinking. His eyes were still wet. He looked at his steering wheel and said, "I must do something. I can't leave her like this." After a while, he turned on the car. The light came on. He drove away slowly, looking at the building one last time through the mirror. That night, he went home, but he couldn't sleep. He turned on his bed again and again. All he could see in his mind was Grace and those two little girls and that one piece of chicken. The next morning, the sun came out slowly. Grace woke up early. She looked at her two little girls still sleeping on the mat. She smiled and touched their hair. "Time to wake up, my angels," she said softly. The girls opened their eyes slowly. "Mummy, are we going to school today?" one of them asked. "Yes, my love. Let's get ready." Grace helped them up and carried a small bucket outside. She poured water into a bowl. Then she helped them take a quick bath one after the other.